see our college kids home.
Amen.
I see Nick back there. I see Decory and all of our college kids. Just wave your hand. Amen. Home for the holidays. That your little sister Hubbard, and I can't tell who the painted face is back there. Yeah. Not in college yet. Just going to college. But good to see y'all home for the holidays. Pray you had a great semester and have an even greater semester next semester. It was good to see you in the house today. And all of those visitors, the ones who came in a little bit late that I didn't get a chance to greet, I'm greeting you now. Amen. And I don't know where you were, but I'm just glad to have you here. Gospel according to Luke chapter 1. Try not to be gross. That's all I need. Thank you. Y'all been standing a long time waiting on me to get settled. It's good, it helps your blood flow. Gospel according to Luke chapter 1. I'm going to begin reading at verse number 26. If you have it, say amen. If you don't have it, I don't know what you've been doing all that time you've been standing. Luke chapter 1, beginning at verse number 26, we find these words. Now in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to a city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin betrothed to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David. The virgin's name was Mary, and having come in, the angel said to her, "Rejoice, highly favored one, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women." Verse 39. Now Mary arose in those days and went into the hill country with haste to a city of Judah, and entered the house of Zacharias and greeted Elizabeth. And it happened that when Elizabeth heard the greeting of Mary, that the babe leaped in her womb, and Mary was filled with the Holy Spirit. Then she spoke out with a loud voice and said, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb." Verse 46, and Mary said, "My soul magnifies the Lord, and my soul magnifies the Lord." I want to key in again on that key verse from last week, and that's verse number 28. And having come in, the angel said to her, "Rejoice, highly favored one, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women. Rejoice, highly favored one, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women." And the last verse in 46 said, and Mary said, "My soul magnifies the Lord." Before you take your seats, let me ask you this. If you're blessed and know you're blessed, shout amen. Amen. If you're blessed and know you're blessed, clap your hands. If you're blessed and know you're blessed, come on and give God some praise. Blessed and highly favored, highly favored, highly favored. If you're highly favored, make some noise up in this place. Amen. Last week I used part of this text and shared from the subject, "You are favored." I want to continue that thought today and share from this subject, favored even when you don't feel like it. Amen. Favored even when you don't feel like it. Luke says that Mary went through a range of emotions when she heard the announcement from Gabriel that she was favored by God. First, the text says in verse 29, she felt fear or was troubled and considered what manner of greeting this was. And Gabriel said to her in verse 30, "Do not be afraid, Mary. Do not be afraid, Mary. Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God, and you will conceive in your womb and bring forth a son and call his name Jesus." Then Mary moves from fear to feeling doubt in verse 34 when she asks, "How can this be, seeing that I have never known a man?" In other words, Mary said it can't be done. It is impossible. It defies both the laws of biology and the logic of common sense. Then after after receiving further instruction from Gabriel in verses 35, 36, and 37, Mary moves from doubt to resignation in verse 38 when she says, "Let it be done to me according to your word." In other words, Mary says, "If you say so, I'll go along with it." But after leaving the conversation with the angel Gabriel in verse 38 and going to her cousin Elizabeth's house in verse 39, Luke says that Mary went from resignation to celebration. That's what we are witnessing in the latter part of the text. When Mary sees the baby bump in her cousin's belly, it is a celebration. That's what's happening when Mary discovers that her cousin, who was born barren and who is now well beyond childbearing years, is about to have a baby of her own. It's a celebration. That is what we are witnessing when the baby began to leap in Elizabeth's womb, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Ghost and began to speak to Mary the same thing that the angel spoke to Mary. Mary says in verse 46, "My soul magnifies the Lord, and my soul rejoices in my Savior." That is a celebration. Mary was celebrating. Elizabeth was celebrating. The baby in Elizabeth's belly was also celebrating. Everybody was celebrating confirmation, the good news that Mary had been favored. Because ultimately, this is what good news calls for from those of us who receive it. It calls for a celebration. Please don't miss the emotional movement of Mary in the text, because emotionally Mary moved from fear to doubt to resignation to celebration. Don't miss it. Mary moved from fear to doubt to resignation to celebration. Fear to doubt to resignation to celebration. And the reason why I don't want you to miss that is because many of us go through the same emotional map when we hear some good news. We don't always celebrate right away, y'all, but like Mary, we move from fear to doubt to resignation to celebration. Y'all not hearing that, but every woman up in here who has ever had a baby, finding out that you are pregnant does not always come with an immediate celebration. Because when you realize that Aunt Flo ain't come to visit you, the first thing you feel is fear. I wonder what's going on with it. Then you feel doubt. I know it can't be what people think it might be because I've been careful. Yeah. Then you have to take the test, and when the test comes back positive, you have a moment of resignation. Well, okay, if that's what it is, that's what it is. And after all of that, then you celebrate and say, "Thank you, Jesus." Now, some of y'all ain't had a kid, so maybe you don't get it. But when your boss tells you that he or she needs to talk to you, it causes you some fear. And then when they say they conducted your annual evaluation, fear becomes doubt, because you know you've been slipping up a little bit. But when he says everything looks good, you breathe a sigh of relief and resignation. And when he says you getting a raise, you throw up your hands in celebration. Y'all feeling me now? Because even for folks sitting up in this church, like Sister Linda Nelson, when you are sitting in church and the phone rings and it's your doctor's office, your first response is fear. But when they say they found a kidney that's a match for you, your next response is doubt. When they say get to the hospital for surgery, right away you feel resignation. And when you get there and pass all the tests and find out you are a match, it turns into celebration. You may not always get there right away, but anytime you hear some good news, it's a cause for celebration. A baby being born is cause for celebration. anniversaries are reason for celebration. Cancer going into remission is cause for celebration. Waking up in the morning is cause for celebration. And even when a loved one is called from earthly labor to live eternally with the Lord, it's still a cause for celebration. You may not always get there right away. You may go through the map of feeling fear and doubt, then resignation first. But ultimately, this is what good news calls for from those of us who receive it. It calls for a celebration. And that is what Mary finally does in the text. In response to the good news that she is favored by God, she begins to celebrate. And that is what all of us ought to do in response to God's goodness, in response to God's love, in response to God's mercy, in response to God's favor. We ought to celebrate. But the more I reflect on the favor that God gave Mary and what it meant for her future, the more I realize that I have a problem with this text. I have a problem, y'all, with the message that Gabriel gives to Mary in Luke 1:28. Gabriel says, "Rejoice, highly favored one, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women." That's what he said. Rejoice, highly favored one, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women. That's what Luke says the angel Gabriel said to Mary. But my problem with the text is not what Gabriel did say, but my problem is with what Gabriel didn't say. You see, he told her she was favored, but he didn't tell her that being favored oftentimes means you have to deal with some foolishness. He told her how God looked upon her and favored her, but he didn't tell her how other people will look down on her. He didn't tell her that because she was favored, her fiance would want to call off the engagement. He didn't tell her that because she was favored, her neighbors would question, criticize, and critique her and be all up in her and Joseph's business. He did not tell her that because she was favored, even strangers, folks she never met before, would scandalize her name when they heard the sensationalism of her story. He told her that the Holy Ghost would come upon her. He told her that she would conceive a child from God. He told her that it would be a son. He told her to call his name Jesus. He told her that her son would be great, but Gabriel did not tell her that people would call her a liar. He did not tell her that her son would be born homeless in a barn. He did not tell her that her family would become refugees escaping into Egypt. He did not tell her that 33 years later she would stand at the foot of a cross and watch her son be killed. I got a problem, y'all, with the message that Gabriel gives Mary in the text, because it seems like he only told her part of the story. He only told her the good stuff. He didn't tell her about the bad stuff that she would have to go through because of the good stuff. And I'm not just talking about Mary, but I'm talking to anybody whom God has told you are favored. I'm talking to anybody who stood up and gave God praise all through worship, or even just a few minutes ago. I'm trying to tell you that you may be favored, but the truth is you will not always feel like it. God told you are favored, but you will not always be treated like it. God told you that you are favored, but it won't always look like it, sound like it, or feel like it. So a few weeks ago, as I was studying the scripture, I sent a subpoena to heaven for Gabriel to come and answer one simple question. I sent the subpoena to Gabriel for telling half-truths. And when I sent the subpoena to heaven, Gabriel showed up to testify, because God is not like Donald Trump. Trump didn't want his staff members to testify in the impeachment inquiry, but God says it's still raise the question. So Gabriel showed up in my study to testify last week, and I asked him one question, three different ways. Gabriel, why did you not tell Mary the whole story? Gabriel, why did you not tell her that although she was favored, she would have to go through some problems? Why did you not tell her that about the mess that she would endure as the mother of the Messiah? Why did you not tell her the whole story? And Gabriel leaned over and whispered in my ear and said, because God is not obligated to tell you everything. He only tells you enough to keep you encouraged. Oh, you want to tell that to somebody who is questioning the will of God, the word of God, and the way of God. Whisper to them like Gabriel did to me that God is not obligated to tell you everything. He only tells you enough to keep you encouraged. Gabriel says to me, when I told Mary that she was favored, I gave her all the good news, all the advice, and all the encouragement that she would need no matter what it was she would go through. You see, Gabriel said that most times when people read this text, they tend to focus on the fact that I said Mary was highly favored. And then Gabriel said they overlooked what I said before that, and they overlooked what I said after that. They get stuck on you are favored, and they miss the rest of the message. And then Gabriel asked me, what's the first thing I said to Mary when I showed up in the text? I said, Gabe, the first thing you said to Mary was rejoice. He said, yeah, that's right. The text says rejoice. But if you read between the lines, what it really says is you got to rejoice even when people don't treat you right. I'm trying to preach up in here, up in here, up in here, that when you find yourself favored, but you don't feel like it, Gabriel helps us and Mary to understand that you got to rejoice even when people don't treat you right. Because you're right, Pastor, that's what he said. You can be favored and not feel favored. You can be elevated and not feel encouraged. You can be promised and purpose, but that does not exclude you from problems and pain. So even before I told her that God favored her, I told Mary to rejoice, because rejoicing is not necessarily the response to feeling favored, but rejoicing is what you do simply because God is God. Rejoicing is what you do because of what God has done, but rejoicing is what you do simply because of who God is. Hence the psalmist says, because of who you are, I give you glory. Because of who you are, I give you praise. Because of who you are, I will lift my voice and sing, Lord, I worship you because of who you are. Who are you? Jehovah Jireh, my provider. Jehovah Nissi, my victory. Jehovah Shalom, my Prince of Peace. Lord, I worship you. I rejoice simply because of who you are. Rejoice, watch this, is a command or an instruction that is spoken in the present tense. I like that. Rejoice is a command or instruction that is spoken in the present tense. That means it is something that is to be done right here, right now. That means you don't have to wait until the next part, but it is something that you can do now in this part. You don't have to wait, Gabriel said, until I finish telling you what I came to tell you. You can rejoice now simply because I showed up. In the black church, we say it this way: you ain't got to wait until the battle is over, but you can shout. I got some black church goers up in here. You can shout right now. And even in your future, when you recall the command of the past, you invoke the instruction in the present. Let me help you there. Even when I get there, I can remember what you told me back then, and it makes me do it right now. Y'all not getting it. Many of us have, so eat, whenever we sit at the table, we are still adults who put our hands together and say, God is great, God is good. Lord, we thank you for this food. Amen. Let's eat. All of us say grace, even as adults, before we eat. But we didn't start doing it up here. We did it because when we were kids, Mama and Daddy taught us to say grace before we eat. And so when I remember up here what they taught me back there, it makes me do it right now. Y'all don't get it. When I remember up here that they taught me to pray back there, it makes me do it right now. When I remember up here that they taught me to trust God back there, it makes me do it right now. When I remember up here that they taught me to bless the Lord at all times, it makes me do it right now. And as Gabriel explained to me what he said to Mary, I understood that the same message applies to all of us who know that we are favored, all of us who know that we are blessed, all of us who are blessed and highly favored, but we don't always feel like it. Gabriel said, I didn't have to tell Mary everything and exactly what was going to happen, but I did tell her what to do no matter what happens. And that is to rejoice. When people start to doubt you, rejoice. When people question you, rejoice. When family betrays you, rejoice. When friends don't understand you, rejoice. When they don't have room for you, rejoice. When you're running for your life, rejoice. Because you won't always feel loved, and you won't always feel favored, and you won't always feel up, and you won't always feel special, and you won't always be appreciated, you won't always feel happy, but no matter how you feel or what's going on, rejoice. No matter where you are, rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. Yes. And when Jesus, it dawns on me that when Jesus was a boy, he learned this lesson from his mama so well that when he became a man, he taught other people that when people revile you and persecute you, when they lie on you and say bad things about you, when they mistreat you and misjudge you, even Jesus said, rejoice and be glad, for great is your reward in heaven. Jesus was teaching a lesson that he learned from his mama, and that lesson can be traced back to the words of Gabriel in this text. Rejoice even when people don't treat you right. Gabriel, y'all, was blowing my mind in my study, and I said, Gabriel, I hear you talking about rejoicing, but I still got a problem that you did not help Mary deal with the mess that she was about to go through. Gabriel said, man, you don't get it because you don't know how to read your Bible. He had me pick the Bible back up, and he said, remember, man, that God is omniscient. He knows everything. He knows your past, your present, and your future. He knows what did happen, what is happening, and what's going to happen next. Gabriel said, that's why after telling Mary that she was favored, I told her the next thing she needed to know in order to keep her encouraged. I pulled out my Bible again and I read it to him. I said, Gabriel, you said to her, rejoice, highly favored one. He said, no, ignore that part. That's the part that everybody reads. Ignore highly favored one and read what comes next. I opened my Bible and said, what comes next is the Lord is with you. I looked at the text the second time because Gabriel said, man, you still not getting it. You got to read it again, and you got to read the words in between the lines. I opened my Bible again, and I saw words appear that wasn't on the page. And when I read the text the second time, it said, the Lord is with you no matter what the odds are against you. Oh, man, Gabriel blew my mind. I just can't encourage somebody on today. The God is with you no matter what the odds are against you. Because Mary said she couldn't be pregnant because she had never known a man. But Gabriel's answer to her was, the Lord is with you no matter what the odds are against you. And just like the command to rejoice is declared in the present tense, the promise that the Lord is with you. When you come back home and tell Joseph that you are pregnant after being away from him for weeks or months, the Lord is with you. When Joey tells you that he's contemplating calling off the marriage, the Lord is with you. When people realize you are an unwed mother and want to stone you to death like the law prescribes, the Lord is with you. When messy folks start to do the math and realize it takes 9 months for a baby to bake, and you and Joey ain't been together that long and suspect you've been messing around, don't you worry about it. The Lord is with you. And I just want to encourage some folks who are favored but don't feel like it because you may be hurting. Your favor does not depend on what's going on around you. Favor is rooted in the fact that God is with you. You're favored but don't feel like it because you're heartbroken. You're favored but don't feel like it because you are hurting. You're favored but don't feel like it because you are sick. You are favored but don't feel like it because you're all alone. You are favored but don't feel like it because there's pain in your body. But I just came to remind you that favor does not excuse you from it. Favor promises that God is with you in the midst of it. God is with you in your season of struggle. God is with you in your season of rejection. God is with you in your times of being talked about. God is with you in your times of being lied on. But he says when you go through the water, I'll be with you. When you pass through the fire, the flame won't burn you. When you go through the flood, it won't overwhelm you because I, the Lord your God, I am with you. In dialysis, I am with you. In chemotherapy, I am with you. In your marriage, I am with you. In your divorce, I am with you. In your widowhood, I am with you. In your schoolroom, I am with you. In the house all alone, I'm with you. When you find your friends are gone, I'm with you. He said, I'll go with you and I'll be with you even to the ends of the earth. It does not matter what the odds are against you. David faced a giant with nothing but a slingshot. Samson faced an army with the jawbone of an ass. Gideon took 300 and defeated an army of 10,000 because if God be for us, if God be for us, if God be for us, nobody can stand against us. The text says, David said, the text said, read again, that the Lord is with you no matter what the odds are against you. But then third and finally, Gabriel hit me one more time. Gabriel said, I know you're the preacher who always likes to have 3 points. I gave you 2. I'm going to give you 3 points. He said, then I got to go back to heaven because God has more work for me to do. I said, well, Gabriel, you messed me up with the first point. You blew my mind with the second point. And so then Gabriel said, well, man, I'm going to shout you with this third point. This not me. This is Gabriel exegeting the text for me. Gabriel said, when you look at the text again, read what I told Mary after I said, you are blessed, you are highly favored. Read what I said after I told her the Lord is with you. I picked up my Bible, and my Bible said, Gabriel, you say, blessed are you among women. He said, no, man, you're still reading the text. You got to read what's under the text. I looked at the text again. The words on the page said, blessed are you among women. But then some other words appeared on the page. And I heard Gabriel say to Mary and say to us, you are blessed by the best, with the best. And I began to read on further in the story. I heard Gabriel say, you are blessed by the best. And you've been blessed with the best. That's what the explanation of verses 35, 36, and 37 are all about.
Yeah.
Gabriel said to her, the Holy Ghost will come upon you, and then you will be with child. That was Gabriel's way of saying that what is coming upon you represents the best. And you will bring forth a son, and you will call his name Jesus, and he will be great. That was Gabriel's way of saying that what is coming out I just called you, but you brought some backup. How then can we question the message that you gave when there's so much more to the message than what we oftentimes receive? All of us claim to be recipients of God's favor, but God's favor doesn't always feel good. And I came to remind you from the words of Gabriel and Mary herself that just because you don't feel it doesn't mean that you don't have it. Anybody here married? Anybody here married? Anybody here love your spouse? I ain't say like them. If you sit next to him, just raise your hand anyway, just because you sit next to him. Anybody here love your spouse?
Jamar.
Watch this. Anybody here a parent? Raise your hand. You love your kids? Raise your hand. You love your spouse. But if you're honest with yourself, you don't always feel like it. Hallelujah. You love your children. But you don't always feel like it.
Well.
But just because you don't feel like it in the moment does not mean that the love is not there before the moment, during the moment, and even after the moment. You just don't realize it. Sometimes disappointment and anger blinds you to it. Sometimes stress blinds you to it. But when the moment passes, you realize that the love is still there, and the love has never gone anywhere. God says you are favored. He said to Mary, you are highly favored. You couldn't earn it. You didn't find it. I just gave it to you. And because God says I have favored you, there is nothing and nobody who can take your favor away. It may get hard. Sometimes it gets confusing. You may not always understand why you are going through what you are going through. But if you remember nothing else, remember you are favored. Despite the tears you cry, remember you are favored. Despite the hurt that you feel, remember that you are favored. Despite the loneliness that may be in your life,